Most people think they are buying a lifestyle with debt. They aren't. They're the ones being sold. In the global financial engine, you are not the customer, you are the underlying asset. Every time you sign a loan document, you're performing a future to present arbitrage where the bank wins 100% of the time. You are auctioning off the hours of your life that you haven't even lived yet. You are selling your 40s to pay for your 20s. You're selling your freedom for a perception of status. Today we're going into the belly of the beast. We're going to discuss the fractional reserve trap, the neurochemistry of indebtedness, and the math of the net life hours. By the end of this, you'll realize zero debt is the most powerful number in finance. Now, to understand why debt is bad, you have to understand where the money comes from. Most people think that the bank lends out the money other people deposited. They don't. When you take out a $500,000 mortgage, the bank doesn't take $500,000 out of the vault, they type it into existence. Through financial reserve banking and the multiplier effect, the bank creates your debt out of thin air. Now, this is how the scam works. The bank creates $500,000 of digital credit, costing them $0. You agree to pay back that $500,000 plus another $400,000 in interest over 30 years. You have to pay the bank using real labor. You have to trade 30 years of your actual physical biological life to pay for something that the bank created with a keystroke. This is how the math works. You're trading finite biological time for infinite digital credit. It's the trade of real value for imaginary value. This is the ultimate institutional arbitrage. The bank is shorting your life. They're betting that you will stay healthy and employed enough to keep bleeding for 30 years. When you look at the integral of your lifespan on interest, you realize you aren't just paying money, you're paying in vitality. Now let's talk about how that affects you as a person. Debt doesn't just sit in your bank account, it sits in your prefrontal cortex. In neuroeconomics, we study cognitive load. Every dollar of debt you carry acts as a background process in your brain. It consumes RAM. When you have $2,000 monthly payment hanging over your head, your brain is in constant state of low-level threat detection. And that kills creativity. High leverage ideas, the kind that builds huge businesses, require a brain that is in the flow state. But debt forces your brain into a survival state. The survival state focuses on the next 30 days. It focuses on paying the bill. The flow state focuses on the next 30 years. It focuses on building the empire. You cannot be an architect if you are a firefighter. If you owe money, you are a firefighter. You're constantly putting out the fire of the monthly obligations. This is why the most creative, the most dangerous and destructive people in history almost always started from a place of extreme minimalism. They clear their cognitive RAM so they can focus 100% of their processing power on the big play. Debt is a virus that slows down your mental operating system. Now, a lot of gurus love to talk about good debt. They say if interest is 4% and the market returns 8%, you're winning. This is a linear logic in a non-linear world. Here's the volatility gap. The 8% market return is an average. In reality, the market can go down negative 30% in a year. But your 4% debt, that is fixed. The bank doesn't care if the S&P 500 crashed. They want their check on the first. When you add debt to the equation, you're essentially shorting your cash flow. You're increasing your probability of total ruin. Even if the math looks good on a spreadsheet, the path dependency is lethal. If you hit one black swan event, a health crisis, a market freeze, a global shift, your good debt becomes the anchor that drowns you. The top 1% do use good debt because they have infinite liquidity to back it up. You don't. For you, good debt is just a sophisticated way to gamble with your survival. Now, if I ask you what your time is worth, you'd probably give me your hourly wage or your salary divided by 2,000 hours, right? You'd be wrong. That's your gross life value. To understand why debt is a parasite, we have to calculate your net life hour. Most people making $100,000 a year think they're making $50 an hour. But once they subtract 30% for taxes, 25% for mortgage and car loans, and 20% for basic survival, their net life hour is actually $12.50. Now look at that $1,200 iPhone or the $60,000 SUV. If your net life hour is $12.50, that SUV doesn't cost $60,000. It costs 4,800 hours of your conscious life. That is 2 years of working every single day just to pay off for a machine that loses 20% of its value the moment you drive it off the lot. Debt isn't a financial tool, it's a time thief. Every time you take a loan, you are sentencing your future self to a prison of net life hours that you can never get back. You're trading your heartbeat for a status symbol. Stop doing that. Now let's look at the reason the debt-free man is dangerous. He's dangerous not because he has a big bank account, it's because he has option value. In finance, an option is the right but not the obligation to make a move. When you have zero debt, your burn rate, the cost to stay alive, is at its mathematical floor. That gives you velocity. If a once-in-a-decade investment opportunity appears, the indebted man has to ask the bank for permission. The debt-free man just moves. If a huge business idea requires you to quit your job and work for $0 for the next 6 months, the indebted man is paralyzed by his mortgage. The debt-free man is already building. As your debt goes to zero, your ability to exploit high upside opportunities goes to infinity. Debt makes you a big ship, stable in the calm harbor, but slow and impossible to turn when a storm hits. Being debt-free makes you a speedboat. You can pivot, you can accelerate, and you can navigate the gaps that the big ships don't even see. In an era of AI and rapid economic shifting, agility is the new gold. So, knowing all of that, what do we do? What's the next step? I don't want you to try to get out of debt. I want you to execute a sovereign protocol. This is how we kill the parasite once and for all. Stage 1, the tactical fast. This is a total freeze on all non-essential spending. If it doesn't add time in your life, it shouldn't exist. We are performing a dopamine reset. You need to prove to your brain that you don't need the consumption hits to feel high status. Every dollar you saved is a net life hour bought back from the bank. Stage 2 is the snowball of violence. We use the debt snowball, but we do it with aggression. You aren't just paying the minimum, you are liquidating assets. Sell the car you can't afford, sell the stuff that is sitting in the garage collecting dust. You are trading things for time. If it has a motor or a screen and you owe money on it, it is a parasite. Kill it. And stage 3 is the fortress lockdown. Once the debt is zero, you do not reward yourself by spending. You reward yourself by building the fortress. You need 3 to 6 months of survival cash in an account that the bank doesn't touch. This is your FU money. This is the moment your net life hour value jumps by 400% because you are no longer working to pay for the past, you are working to own the future. Look, my friends, the global economy is designed to make you a debtor. It is designed to keep you on the treadmill, selling your best years to service a life you're too tired to live. But you have seen the math now. You know that the $700 credit score isn't a badge of honor, it's a leash. The most dangerous person in the room isn't the guy who has the most expensive watch. It's the guy who owns his time. He owes no man a second of his life, and who has the net life hours to wait for the perfect opportunity to strike. The debt parasite is hungry. Every day you wait is another day it eats your future. It's time to stop being an asset for the bank and start being an architect of your own life. In the next video, we'll talk about the art of timing opportunities. New videos every Wednesday and Sunday.